Shalom, Apostle Hartman, back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Shemal, Shabbat Shemakakodash. I don't know how long this is going to go. I didn't put any precepts together. I'm just going to go with the Spirit. And I'm going to entitle this video, They Don't Go Into Any of the Prophecies, meaning they don't go into the prophetic parts of the Scripture. Okay, there's the new guy on the block, so to speak, Justin Martyr. And Apostle Rhyme Lab had just did a video. I was watching part of it. And I said last night, I said I was going to do a video focusing on this guy. The focus is on this guy now. You know, now Apostle Rhyme Lab made it a little bit easier for myself because I did a little research on the guy from Moody's Bible Institute or whatever, which Moody is a name of an Edomite that's long dead. And it's a cemetery school or a theological seminary, which I call a cemetery because there's nothing but deadness in there. And it's mostly, you know, Edomites. If you go to the main page, the Moody page, you know, there's nothing that has to deal with prophetic parts of the scriptures. These people like vocab. You want to make vocab nervous? Just go into the prophecies. He doesn't know the prophecies. When you throw a prophecy, when you throw what is Babylon, what is the mark of the MOTB, I got to be careful. He doesn't know. What he'll do is he'll make something up. He'll make something up. Now, I'm going to show you that, but let's go. Okay, this is his page. And he did a video recently. Where is it? Okay, let me do this. Let me hit videos. Okay, this is a recent video that he did. Okay, that's a short. I don't want to get that one. I want to get this one. I didn't go to the part 2. I went into this one and I did a video on that last night. It says Christian scholars correct the fake Israelites. Then it goes on to say the fake Israelites featuring Justin Martyr and Anthony Rogers, part 1. Then there's a part 2. I didn't do a part 2. I may watch that and see what I'm going to do. Now, he calls these brothers right here fake Israelites. So what I want to do is, so I can be fair, where the hell? Bear me for a minute. Bear me for a minute. I might not be able to get it. I might have to open this up someplace else. Let me do it this way. Take this page here, copy it, and I'll put it around about over here. Bear me for a minute and bring the page up. Okay, here it is right here. Now I want to look up the word fake. Look up the word fake. 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 Not genuine, counterfeit. a thing that is not genuine, a forgery, or a sham, forge or counterfeit, not real. So he decided, this demon decided to call us, well, them Sakari, but that's a broad brush on all of us that we're all fake. He came to he saw the brother, they're reading out the scriptures, and he said in the title of the video, he called them fake Israelites. How can you look at somebody and know whether they're an Israelite or not? Because you've been trained that the small hats are the Israelites. That's why you call them fake Israelites. And the Most High is going to destroy you for that, lest you repent. And I don't see you repenting. I don't see you repenting at all. And we're going to stay on your black ass too. The scriptures speak about the Israelites being scattered among the nations, being mingled among the nations. So I can't go to there's certain small hats that might actually, their descendancy goes back to an Israelite, the tribe of Ephraim, the tribe of Gad, but they look like small hats. So I don't know how this guy is able to look at somebody and say he's not an Israelite, that he's a fake Israelite. That's that demon, the demons on this guy. But anyway, like I said, I did a video on response to this, and I may go back and look at that, and they're lost. Anyway, the topic deals with prophecy, right? This guy he's clueless when it comes to the prophecies. There's not going to be anything dealing with the war over there in Ukraine and how it relates to prophecy. That war over there in Ukraine, the Russians invading Ukraine, NATO keeps coming up. And we've been talking about NATO and the EU for years, but NATO's keep coming up. And this guy, Zelensky, he wants NATO to get involved. Now, what President Biden said was, if we get involved, he said, that's World War III. And you know what happens in World War III. That's the end of this man's system. That's a Mexican standoff. Look that up. That's mad. Mutually assured destruction, because Russia is a major power and the US is a major power that possess the equalizer, the missiles. And if Russia decides to shoot the missiles and the US decides to shoot the missiles, that's the end of the system. And then you have people that back up Russia. You have the Chinese, and they have missiles. They've been testing the hypersonic missile. I've been talking about that recently. And that thing, it has a plasma cloud on. You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? Let me go to plasma cloud. Plasma cloud missile. Let's see what that says. Okay, it says the missile flies when with an advanced fuel that the Russians say gives it a range of up to 1,000 kilometers. And it's so fast that the air pressure in front of the weapon forms a plasma cloud as it moves, absorbing radio waves and making it particularly invisible to active radar systems. This is talking about the hypersonic missile. So when this war took place, first of all, it was a rumor war for the last, 2.5, 3 months. At the last minute, we didn't know whether they were going to attack or not. And guess what? They finally said they attacked. And guess what? When we saw that on the news, guess what? Precepts came to our head, prophetic precepts. Now this Edomite, I guess he was an expert on the suit, and the U.S. doesn't possess the hypersonic missile. The Chinese possess it, and they've been doing tests for the last, I don't know, 2 years. The Russians also possess it, and they say that they use it. But this is what gets me. This is the kicker. It's so fast that it goes 7,000 plus miles per hour from Moscow to New York. You know how long it takes to get there? About 25 minutes. 25 minutes, a half an hour. Where you gonna go in 25 minutes, a half an hour? When the alarm goes off. Oh, the Russians have shot their first strike missile. Get out of here. Go. Nope, nobody has fallout shelters. Nobody has wings that they can fly. So when that destruction comes, all hands shall be faint. Everybody's knees shall be feeble. And they don't teach about that. Vocab Malone does not teach about, he doesn't go into Matthew 24. He doesn't go into Luke 21. He doesn't go into Mark 13. He doesn't go into any books of the Revelation. Recently, he started going into the book of Revelation, and someone called on a Debate for You show, an Israelite brother, and he asked him concerning the MOTB. And what he did was he quoted scriptures where the MOTB is mentioned in the book of Revelation. He didn't explain what it was. So, which means he doesn't know the prophecies. Let me read this again. The missile, which is a hypersonic missile, and they say it goes 5 times the speed of sound. Give you an idea. When you hop on a plane, a commercial plane, it goes about 500, 600 miles per hour. This plane goes almost 10 times as fast as that. That's so fast. And you can't, like I said, let me read again. It's so fast that the air pressure in front of the weapon forms a plasma cloud as it moves, absorbing radio waves and making it particularly invisible to active radar systems. Now it says why Russia's hypersonic missiles can't be seen or on radar. Let me click on that. And you had these American generals and experts of war. They said we're behind in the technology because they didn't think they were ever going to have a war with Russia because of the acronym MAD, mutually assured destruction. Look, the Most High put the spirit on Putin to do what he's doing. And it's going to lead, and NATO is going to get involved. And guess what? Something's going to happen where the NATO nations and the EU nations that possess missiles, they are going to shoot missiles on Babylon the Great. Why Russia's hypersonic missiles can't be seen on radar. I'll read a little bit of it. The age of Russia's super weapons is upon us. At least that's what President Vladimir Putin wants us to believe. And they are cause for concern because the U.S. traditional early warning system might not be able to see those weapons coming. So how are you going to warn the people? And if you can warn the people, where the hell are they going to go? The scriptures say the righteous shall scarcely make it, which are the elect of Israel, the Israel of the Most High. Let me read a little bit more. It said hypersonic weapons such as Russia's 3M-22 Zircon fly so fast and low because it's a low cruise missile, unlike an ICBM, which makes an arc in fashion. So both of them are going to be shot off. The ICBM and the hypersonic missile system at speeds of up to Mach 6 and at a low atmospheric ballistic trajectory that they can penetrate traditional anti-missile defense systems. That's all I got to read. So what precepts should come to mind? Let me bring so we know that the destruction of Babylon is right around the corner. Okay, give me a second here. Nahum. Let me click on that. Okay, let me do it this way. I'm sorry, I misspelled it. Not the Nahum. Not the best speller in the world. Okay, let's see if it comes up now. Okay, Nahum. All right. Nahum 3. I'm trying not to read the whole thing. It's short, but Nahum. Okay, Nahum. This is the account, which is what it says in the heading: Nineveh's complete ruin. Now, Nineveh repented. You read the account of Jonah, which is 4 chapters long. It's a short book. They repented, they fasted, they prayed, and they repented. But ultimately, the Most High took them out anyway because they went back to being wicked. So here in the book of Nahum, Nahum the prophet prophesies against Nineveh, but this is a twofold prophecy, let's say. It's talking about ancient Nineveh, but it's also talking about America. America is labeled spiritually under various names. Babylon is a chief name. That's why when you go to Revelation and certain parts in the Old Testament, the prophetic parts, it mentions Babylon, you know it's not talking about ancient Babylon off the coast of the Euphrates River, which is currently Iraq. So we know through the Spirit how to break down these prophecies. When we read the word Babylon, we read it in context. We say that's talking about Babylon the Great. That's talking about the daughter of Babylon. Oh, this precept right here is talking about ancient Babylon. When you go to Jeremiah, I always go to two of my favorite chapters, and I like to go to the whole 2 chapters from the first verse to the last verse. Jeremiah, really you can start at Jeremiah 49. Jeremiah 49, but it doesn't mention Babylon. They got to go to it, and it focuses on Edom. But then in Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51, it mentions Babylon a handful of times. And when you read it in context, you know it's not talking about ancient Babylon. But if you don't understand prophecy, the prophecies of this book, you're not going to get it. That's why you're not going to speak on it. Like I said, these guys are not going to speak on it because they don't know it. This guy right here, he's lost. He should get a lawyer and try to sue the Moody Institute. And I'm gonna try something. Let me put in the word. Let me put in Rev, not Revelation, but Rev. It just says Rev as in Reverend, right? Let me put in Joel. Nothing. Okay. Let me put in the word Daniel. I hope I spelled it right. Daniel, I think that's right. Okay, Pastor, we need each other. Galatians 6. Nothing on Daniel. Let me see. Okay, let me put in the word prophecy. Prophecy. Okay, he goes into Ezekiel 2, 1 to 10. Melodies from Heaven. That's a song. He does a lot of songs. He's a rapper. Okay, which one is this? This is part 2. I gotta watch this. But there's no. Let me look up prophet. Same videos. All right, he goes into the life of Jeremiah, but he doesn't go into the prophecies of Jeremiah. So there's nothing prophetic about this guy. So now let me go back, come over here, Nahum 3, verse 1. Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery, the prey departeth not. By the way, this is talking about, first and foremost, it's talking about Nineveh, that ultimately was destroyed by the Most High. So that already happened. So why is this scripture still here? Why didn't this scripture disappear and you got a white page? It didn't happen because this is talking about a future prophecy of America being destroyed, likened unto Nineveh. Like I said, America is under various names. It's under the name of the land of Bozrah, the land of Edom, Sodom, Egypt, that's in Revelation 11, Babylon, Nineveh, Assyria. But the key name is Babylon. And if you roll up on this guy, you ask him, this is how you deal with it. Anytime vocab or this individual rolls up or any of them roll up, just go into the prophecies. These individuals that went to these theological cemeteries, they don't understand prophecies because all they can do is regurgitate what they learned in that particular school. And by the way, in order to attend that school, I don't know if it's the first year or 2 years, you're talking $33,000. The scriptures say, buy the truth and sell it not. Freely it has been given, freely give. So the Most High is not dealing with these theological cemeteries. It says, woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robberies. That's talking about America today. And they can't say America, because if anywhere it says Babylon, it speaks about Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, they put the word America, the US, they would outlaw the Bibles or outlaw the scriptures. So this is written in code, man. The prophetic parts of the scripture, when you read about King David, it's talking about the exploits of King David, the account of King David. When you read about Moses, it goes into what Moses went through, all right? But however, when you read the prophecies, the prophetic parts of the scriptures, it's written in the parabolic way. It's written in the symbolic way. It's written in code. That's in Matthew 13, about 11, 12, 13 verse. You know, the Lord spoke over the people's head, then explained it to the disciples. It says the noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and the prancing horses and the jumping chariots represent your cars, trucks, trains. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. That's talking about the ICBM. This is all code. And there was a multitude of slain. So if you throw one spear, the bright sword and the glittering spear, one sword and one spear is going to kill a multitude of people? No. The bright sword and the glittering spear is referring to the ICBM missile system and the hypersonic missile system. And I read about it. It goes so fast that it creates a plasmic cloud over this rocket, the missile, and it can't be detected by radar. That's why the scriptures speak about a sneak attack. The Lord shall come as a thief in the night. And how is he going to come? He's going to be inside of those missiles. That's Ezekiel 39. I believe that's around the 17th verse. It says in Hebrews that he's a consuming fire. He's going to be in the presence of those missiles to make sure the missiles hit its target. And simultaneously, the angels, the Lord is going to come with the angels, and they're going to beam up the elect of Israel, and in one ship, which is the Lord's ship, because he has a ship big enough to beam up millions of people, because these ships they can grow big and become small. They can disappear. They can be seen by the naked eye, but not picked up on radar. So the heavenly beings, the Lord Yahweh, the Most High, His Son, the angels, their technology is far beyond. Some Edomites said this recently. He said the UFO technology, I would say, if I had to guess, would be 1,000 years more advanced than us. So you can't deal. Look, you have a modern army today fighting against an ancient army with bow and arrows. Who's going to win that war? The ones with the modern, all they got to do is shoot a couple of missiles and they destroy everything, man. And the Russians are not stopping. They're not going to stop anytime soon. So this is it for this place. The last prophecy is the MOTB. And once the MOTB is made manifest and the majority of the people get the MOTB, that's when the missiles are going to come. So this can happen inside of 6 months, inside of 9 months, inside of a year. We're almost out of here, man. Habakkuk 2. The prophecy shall speak and not lie. If it tarry, wait for it. It shall not tarry. It shall surely come. We're in the end time prophecies. Revelation is we're experiencing the prophecies of Revelation right now. We're in a time of the fulfillment of the book of Revelation. It says the horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain. The slain of the Lord, that's in Isaiah 66 and 15, and a great number of carcasses. Go back to Ezekiel 39. We're gonna sever out Edomites and these other nations to go around burying the dead. It says, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. That's talking about after. It's not talking about America, because America is just going to be totally wiped out. There's not going to be anything there to say, okay, there's a baby doll, part of her head. There's a refrigerator handle. There's a door handle from a house. Everything's going to be wiped out, and it's going to become a desert. Everything is going to go back to its basic elements, which is dust, sand, so you can understand. The biggest desert on the planet Earth. And this guy's not going to tell you about that because he hasn't been taught that. All he can do, all this clown could do, let me bring him back up. All this clown right here could do, and we're going to stay on this guy. We're going to stay on this guy. All this clown could do is regurgitate the nonsense that he learned from the Moody Bible Institute, which the Most High is not dealing with the Moody Bible Institute. The Most High is not dealing with vocab. So now, let me come back. It said, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favorite harlot, the mistress of witchcraft. So now, what should come to mind? Matter of fact, let me take out the word mistress. Mistress. Okay, it's 9 times in 9 different verses. I thought Revelation was going to come up. Okay, let's look at this one. Isaiah 24, verse 2. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servants, so with the masses, as with the maid, so with her mistress. That's talking about a master whore. Let me try this. Bear me for a minute. Let me go to Revelation 17. Okay, mistress is not in the New Testament, but it's right here. This should come to mind. Because what did it say? It said mistress of witchcraft, right? It says, I'll go to the fourth verse, Revelation 17, verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Now, what the apostle saw was an actual woman. But what did it represent? It represented America. And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, and full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Remember, it's a mystery. The mother of harlots, meaning the head hoe in a whole house, is called a mistress. So the mother of harlots is the mistress of witchcraft that we just read about, an abomination of the earth. This is talking about America. It's not talking about the Roman Catholic Church. It's not talking about Vatican City. So now let's come back. Okay, so it says, Nahum 3, verse 4, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, that's the old daughter of Babylon, Revelation 17 and 5. The mistress of witchcraft, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. Because behind closed doors, these top politicians and the elite, they pray to the old Kemetic gods, which are demons, the Assyrian gods, and so forth. That's why you have Easter, which goes back to Ishtar, which was a pagan goddess. And you have the Christmas tree, which goes back to the Assyrians. It said, behold, I am against thee. He's against America, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts. Isaiah 47 should come to mind, upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness. So people are beginning to see how this country gets down. And the kingdoms thy shame. And that's why ultimately the NATO and EU nations, they're going to shoot missiles on this country at the same time, while I believe China, because China backs up the the former USSR, and Russia, and they both China and Russia possesses these hypersonic missile systems, which cannot be detected by um, radar, and it's going to tell you that. It speaks about the gates. It says, "And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock." Let's look at it. Let's look at the word gazing stock. The word is ra'aya. Looking, appearance, seeing, sight, seeing, appearance, sight, spectacle. That's the word I want. Spectacle. Meaning everybody's got their eyes on America, and they're beginning to see the hypocrisy of this place. It says the nations were mad, were angry. That's either Jeremiah 51, 50, or Jeremiah 51 or 50. Let me try it this way. Let me take the word gazing stock. And let me go to bear me for a minute. Okay, this is a video put up by the Nomad economist. This was put up about a week ago, almost a week ago, 4 days ago. America in terminal decline, while China, Russia, and India are rising. So where am I going to go? Let me do this. Gazing stock. Let me go to images. Okay, good. I like this. It says a person or thing gazed at by many, which is the world, especially with curiosity or contempt. Let me go to images. Okay, so let's bring this up. Okay, you see they got him in a stock, right? And the people are looking at him. He was guilty of a particular crime. So they put his hands, there's holes over here, his head goes through there, and they leave him out there, and people go around and look at him. Here's another one. Oh, here's one. Here's another one. If you notice, he's in a gazing stock, and the people are around there looking at him. Here's another one. People are looking. Look at that's the guy that committed adultery with so and so. Look at him. And then they get mad enough, they'll throw tomatoes and lettuce at your ass. As a matter of fact, that was the spirit. Now you see, they throwing stuff at him. Somebody threw a cat at him. Somebody threw a T-bone steak at his ass. They're throwing tomatoes and lettuce at him, and he's in the gate. He committed a sin, a heinous sin. You got the soldiers there to make sure it don't get out of hand. So that's America. And these people around here round about him, represent ultimately NATO, the NATO and the EU nations. And instead of throwing tomatoes at him, at Babylon, they're going to throw missiles at his ass. Hey, so it's finally coming to pass, man. And this man here, let me bring him back up. Mr. Graduate of Theological Seminary, he don't know what's going on. And like I said, we are going to stay on this guy. I subscribe to him so I can get all his videos and I can critique his videos. This guy is not on no deep level. What them brothers from Sakari should have did, they should have went right into the prophecies. Ask them, do you know prophecies? No, let me ask, do you know prophecies? Do you know any of the prophecies? Do you know anything about the book of Revelation? Do you know anything about any of the prophetic chapters in the book of Daniel, Joel? And then if he says yeah, if he says no, you got him, because you're supposed to know. And so we have an unction from the Holy One, and we know all things. That's First John, 2nd chapter, the 20th verse. Ezekiel 3, eat this whole roll and go out and teach the children of Israel. And then on top of that, he called these guys fake Israelites. How in the hell does he know that? Because Israel scattered. Look, years ago, they in the 80s, late 80s, they allowed the Ethiopian so-called Jews, which are not the real Jews, that goes back to 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, when the king put in these other nations in there, but those are really Assyrians. So you had a mixed group right there. But you had these people in Ethiopia claiming that they were Jews, so the Israeli government pulled out the right of return. So these are the real Jews, but they're black. So you mean to tell me you can just look at somebody and know he's a Moabite or Ammonite or Israelite? That's why the Most High is going to destroy you, bro. And you're basically an Uncle Tom. You're ass kissed for a vocab alone. And vocab is losing so bad that he has to get someone that graduated from a theological cemetery. Ain't that a shame? And look, when you guys do videos, the only time, this is mainly with vocab, when you do videos, the only time this guy gets a bunch of hits is when he got Israelite, and I'm sure, and I would prove that. Matter of fact, I don't need to prove that. I might go back to that. Anyway, it says, so we know that Nineveh is actually talking about America, Babylon the Great. And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, Isaiah 13, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? Hence shall I speak comfortable words. Hence shall I seek comforters for thee. Art thou better than populous No, that was situated among the rivers, that had the waters round about it? Now, America has waters round about it, right? You have two major bodies of water. On the west coast, you have the Pacific, and on the east coast, you have the Atlantic. It says ramparts was the sea, and her wall was from the sea. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Put and Luban were thy helpers. Yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. That's talking about us. Her young children also were dashed in pieces at the top of the streets, and they cast lots for her honorable men. They cast lot. That's in Joel chapter 3. They sold a girl for wine that they may drink, and they sold a boy for a harlot. Her honorable men and all her great men were bound in chains. That happened to us, and guess what? That's going to happen to you, Edomites. Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. Thou also shalt be drunken. Thou also shalt be drunken. Like we went through it, 10 verses talking about the Israelites, what happened to us because we sinned against the Lord. Now the 11th verse is talking about Esau. Thou also shalt be drunken. Thou shalt be hid. Thou also shalt seek strength because of the enemy. Because now all your allies are going to become your enemies. All thy strongholds shall be like fig trees. Your strongholds is what? Your defense. So part of your defense is you had the SALT II way back during the time of Reagan, which that's not going to help you. You got the radar system. That's not going to help you. With the first stripe figs, if they be shaken, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, the people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open. Why is the gates going to be set? The defense system is going to be set wide open because they have no radar system. You can't detect a hypersonic missile. Open unto thine enemies, the Russians, the Chinese, possibly your former allies, the NATO nations, and the EU nations that possess missiles. They're going to shoot them on you. Revelation 17, verse 12 on down. The fire, what fire? The nuclear fire shall devour thy bars. So there's no defense. So this is just one prophecy, right? And Israelites are supposed to know the prophecies. When you deal with the whole book, you got to know the whole book. This guy doesn't know the whole book. So anytime you deal with these so-called Christians, which are not even Christians, the only Christians are Israelites. Acts 11:26. They were called Christians first in Antioch. Who was called Christians? The Israelites that followed the Messiah. Okay, where do I want to go now? Okay, let me do this. Okay, this is number 1129. I got to go up a couple of verses. Let me start at 27th verse. Numbers 11, verse 27. And there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. So you had some Israelite prophesying in the camp among other Israelites. So Joshua got mad. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, second in command of Moses, one of his young men answered and said, my Lord Moses, forbid him. Tell him to stop prophesying. And Moses said unto him, and readest thou for my sake? Would to the Most High that all the Lord's people, which are the Israelites, were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. And did the Most High do that? Yeah. Joel chapter 2. And the Apostle Peter reiterated what Joel said in Acts the 2nd chapter. So there's these people don't deal with prophecy. So you know the Most High is not dealing with them. The Most High is not dealing with this guy, Justin. Whatever his name is, Pastor Justin Francis or whatever his name is, the Most High is clearly not dealing with you. And then you claim to be a Christian with long hair. What did the Apostle Paul say about a man having long hair? And the reason why they did that, and I did a video on that, It said that custom in Corinth of the Greeks, the men would grow their hair long. So Paul said, no, you got to cut that hair. That's why Alazar, he really doesn't like the Apostle Paul. He don't like the Apostle Paul now. Inside joke. It was there. I had to go for it. So where was I? What I was going to do? I was going to go to Acts 2. Now you got these clown ass Christians. They'll go to Acts 2 and they'll say that this proves that the other nations, heard the gospel and all that. No, when you read it correctly, let me see. And then 5th verse, and they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, the subject. So anytime you read past that, it's talking about the Jews, which are Israelites, devout men out of every nation under heaven, meaning you had Israelites that were scattered. That's what I said in the beginning of the video. So how in the hell can you look at a guy and say, you're a fake Israelite? You can't look at the spirit, and you're not a spiritual man. What proves you're not a spiritual man, you went to an Edomite theological cemetery, and you're lost. You do not know, you couldn't break down Daniel 7 if your life depended upon it. Now you have Christians out there that break the scriptures down right. It says 6th verse. No, I don't need to read that. Let me go down. I don't want to stay on this too long. I'm getting ready to close, but it mentions all these nations, these Jews that came out of these different nations. You had some that came out of Elam, the Elamites, which is the Persians. Some that came out of Mesopotamia. That's where Abraham came out of, his father Terah. And he did what's called what's called a fertile crescent. He went from Ur of the Chaldees, also known as Mesopotamia, went up to Haran, and then went down into past Palestine, into Canaan, into Egypt, or into Canaan, and then into Egypt. And that was like a triangle, which the scholars call a fertile crescent. Let's see if we can prove that. Fertile crescent. Fertile crescent. The Fertile Crescent is the boomerang-shaped region of the Middle East that was home to some of the earliest human civilizations. Also known as the cradle of civilization, this area was the birthplace of a number of technological inventions, including writing, the wheel, agriculture, and the use of irrigation, right? So let me put in, okay, so let me open this up. Okay, fertile, I needed a bigger picture, but that's all right. This is the Fertile Crescent right here. Abraham went from here up into past Mesopotamia, which you have the Euphrates over there. You got Babylon round about here. Then you got Haran. And then he went from up there, then he went down. He went past the land of Canaan, which is Israel today, and went and settled in Egypt. And they were called, the Israelites were called the Hyksos at that time. Now, Goshen was right about here. So when they went through the Red Sea, they didn't go to the Red Sea. They went through the Gulf of Suez, and this is the wilderness of sin. Then they went northbound. That's why they passed Edom. The whole account with Moses and the king of Edom, can we walk through the king's highway? And he said, no, or we're going to come out against you with swords. And they did. So Esau was always the enemy. Esau is the enemy right now. That's the so-called white man. Now, you got some people that look like Edomites that are actually Jakes. So where am I? Okay, it said you had Israelites or Jews that came out of Phrygia and Pamphylia, and in Egypt. So you had, that goes into the history, going to the history of Maccabees. You had a big community of Israelites living in Egypt. Where did the Lord's father, biological father, and biological mother, where did they were commanded by the angel Gabriel to go into Egypt? Why? Because there was a big Israelite community in Egypt. And they hid themselves among so-called black people, because you had Egyptians living there, you had Israelites living there, which were all black, or so-called black. So they mingled themselves among them people. And then the angel came back to Joseph and said, okay, you can go back into Palestine, because Herod the Great is dead. And in the parts of Libya, so you had Israelites that came from Libya, and Cyrene, and strangers of Rome. Okay, you had Israelites that were living in Rome. Who was this? Who was this emperor that kicked them out of Rome? Damn, can't think of his name. Damn, man. His name is right on the tip of my tongue. Okay, let me do this. I'll find it right now. Roman emperors. Roman emperors. Roman emperors list. I believe it was Claudius. It just came to me. Yeah, it was Claudius. It was Claudius that kicked the Israelites out of Rome, because you had a big community of Israelites in Rome. So we came from all over the place. So how the hell are you going to point to somebody and say, you a fake Israelite? That's why the Most High is going to destroy you and your work. Okay, right here is when he says it. Joel 2 verse 6, Acts 2 verse 16. But this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, we're in the last days, saith the Most High, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, Israelites, as well as other nations. The Most High pours out his spirit on other nations too. He poured it out on King Nebuchadnezzar. He poured it out on Balaam. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your sons and your daughters. Now, the word prophesy means to say before. Say something's going to happen before it happens. And your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And this is for you newer brothers and sisters out there. So now let's go back to, and I'm going to close it. I went a little long. So this is the fulfillment of Numbers 11. Moses, the man of the Most High, said, I wish all the Lord's people can prophesy. And that came to pass during the time of Acts, and it's coming to pass now. Let me give you one more. So all Israelites should have some form of spirituality, should have some form of, they know something's getting ready to happen, but don't know why. And like I said, we're spiritual people. And the Most High is picking one by one, was it one of a city and two of a family, to come into this. Where was I going to go? Deuteronomy, then I'll close it. Deuteronomy 29. and 29. Okay, it says, the secret things belongeth unto the Most High, our power, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of the law. So that spirit's always been with Israel. We just went through a punishment stage. Us going into slavery, in the transatlantic slave trade, was a fulfillment of prophecy. Deuteronomy 28, Joel 3, and others. And this guy can't see that. He can't see that. That's why he's gonna die in his wickedness. He should have accepted. He should have left vocab and said, "How can I get with the camp?" The Most High is not dealing with this guy. And like I said, we'll be watching all of his videos to see how deep he is. And all he's going to do is spew out that nonsense that he learned from that theological seminary. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.